10 British dishes we almost lost. British cuisine is full of surprises. Not just fish and chips or roast dinners, but curious old recipes that nearly vanished from our kitchens. Over the years, social change, industrial life, and modern convenience almost buried some of Britain's most treasured traditional foods. Yet, thanks to food historians, nostalgic cooks, and a few determined chefs, some of these dishes have found their way back. In this countdown of 10 British dishes we almost lost, we rediscover the meals that Britain almost forgot and the stories that brought them back. 10. Pease pudding, North East England. A humble paste made from split peas. Pease pudding once fed miners, factory hands, and farm families across the North East. Simmered slowly and served with ham or bacon. It was filling, cheap, and surprisingly nutritious. But as canned foods and ready-made meals took over, this working-class staple almost disappeared from British tables. Today, pease pudding survives mainly in Newcastle and Durham, where butchers still sell it alongside cured meats. Local pride and a catchy nursery rhyme, pease pudding hot, pease pudding cold, have kept it alive. In recent years, heritage food festivals and regional cookbooks have given it a quiet revival, ensuring it remains a beloved northern tradition rather than a forgotten relic. 9. Pan haggerty, Northumberland. From the coalfields of Northumberland came pan haggerty, a simple, comforting dish made of thinly sliced potatoes, onions, and cheese, layered in a pan until golden and crisp. For generations of miners and farm families, it was the taste of home. But with the arrival of modern casseroles and supermarket-ready meals, pan haggerty quietly vanished from most British cookbooks. Only a handful of Northumberland households kept the recipe alive. Now, thanks to local chefs and food bloggers, it's back on the menu in northern gastropubs, celebrated as posh comfort food. Pan haggerty reminds us that even the humblest dishes deserve their moment in the sun, a perfect slice of Britain's culinary past reborn. 8. Faggots, West Midlands and South Wales. Few dishes divide opinion quite like faggots. Traditional meatballs made from pork offal, breadcrumbs and herbs. Once a poor man's dinner in the industrial towns of England and Wales, they nearly vanished as post-war diets modernised, and people grew squeamish about organ meat. For a while, it seemed faggots would fade into culinary history. But traditional butchers and the nose-to-tail food movement brought them back. Today, you can find handmade versions at farmers' markets and even on a few adventurous pub menus. The return of faggots is more than nostalgia. It's a sign that Britain is learning to appreciate sustainable, zero-waste cooking once again. 7. Bedfordshire clanger, Bedfordshire. This one's as quirky as British cooking gets. The Bedfordshire clanger is a long sweet pastry with two halves, one savoury, one sweet. The name comes from clang, meaning heavy, because it's a meal you could literally carry to the fields. Farm workers in the 19th century loved it because it offered lunch and dessert in one. But as work patterns changed and sandwiches became the norm, the clanger vanished from most kitchens. In recent years, local bakers have revived it, swapping old fillings like liver and jam for modern combos. Think chicken and mushroom with apple crumble on the other end. It's now sold at farmers' markets and proudly celebrated as a local icon. The Bedfordshire clanger proves that sometimes the strangest old ideas deserve a comeback. 6. Spotted dick and other steamed puddings. There was a time when every British home had a pudding basin ready for spotted dick, jam roly-poly, or treacle sponge. These steamed sweet puddings once ruled the dessert table, heavy, warm, and full of comfort. But as baking trends changed and microwaves took over, traditional puddings began to vanish from homes and menus. Many younger Brits have never even tasted one. Thankfully, food writers, heritage cooks, and television chefs have revived these recipes. Even English Heritage warned that traditional British puddings are at risk of extinction, sparking a national conversation. Today, Spotted Dick is making a quiet comeback in school nostalgia menus and cosy British pubs, sweet proof that old-fashioned desserts never truly die. 5. Black-Eyed Susan, Sussex and Kent. A cousin of the famous Sussex pond pudding, Black-Eyed Susan was a well pudding filled with butter, sugar and currants rather than lemon. Once a favourite of 18th and 19th century homes across the south, it faded as sugar and butter became luxury ingredients during wartime. For decades, it existed only in old cookbooks and oral memories. But in recent years, historians and home bakers exploring pre-Victorian recipes have brought it back. Some small bakeries in Kent now experiment with modern versions using syrup or citrus zest. Though less known than its lemony relative, Black-Eyed Susan embodies the same spirit of British ingenuity, hearty, homely, and quietly rebellious against culinary extinction. 4. Pan-baked root pottage and barley broth, medieval Britain. Long before the Sunday roast, British families thrived on pottage, a slow-cooked stew of grains, roots, and vegetables. It was the backbone of medieval diets, cooked in a single pot hung over an open fire. But with the rise of ovens, modern soups, and processed ingredients, pottage disappeared from ordinary life. For centuries, it survived only in monastery kitchens and reenactment events. Today, historical chefs and food historians are bringing it back. From barley broth at medieval fairs to lentil pottages in modern cookbooks, these once-lost dishes are teaching Britons that humble food is often the most enduring. Pottage might not be glamorous, but it's the ancestor of nearly everything we eat today. 3rd Stargazy pie, Cornwall. Few British dishes are as eccentric or as misunderstood as Stargazy pie. Originating in the Cornish village of Mousehole, it features fish heads poking through a golden crust as though stargazing. Legend says it was created to celebrate local fisherman Tom Borcock, who braved a storm to feed his starving village. The pie became a symbol of bravery and abundance. Yet outside Mousehole, Stargazy pie nearly vanished. Post-war Britain had little appetite for its odd appearance. Today, it survives mainly at Mousehole's annual Tom Borcock's Eve festival each December, where locals bake it to honour their heritage. Its survival is less about flavour and more about folklore. Proof that food can carry stories across generations. 2. Sussex pond pudding, Sussex. Perhaps no dish sums up British culinary revival better than Sussex pond pudding. This rich, suet-based dessert encases a whole lemon inside a pastry dome filled with butter and sugar. As it steams, the lemon bursts, forming a tangy golden syrup that pools in the plate. The pond. Once common in southern English homes, it almost vanished by the 20th century. The long steaming time and use of suet felt old-fashioned in the modern kitchen. Then came the revival. Chefs like Heston Blumenthal and Felicity Cloak resurrected the pudding, calling it the best of British comfort food. Food historians tracked its roots back to the 17th century cookbooks, and suddenly, this forgotten pudding was back in newspapers, cooking shows, and culinary festivals. Sussex pond pudding proves that Britain's culinary past can still surprise and delight even the modern palate. 1. Woolton pie, nationwide. At number 1 on our list of 10 British dishes we almost lost is a wartime creation turned forgotten legend, the Woolton pie. Born in 1941 during World War II, it was named after Lord Woolton, Britain's Minister of Food. Meat was scarce, so cooks filled pastry crusts with carrots, potatoes, turnips, and oats. It was wholesome, patriotic, and deeply practical. The perfect symbol of British resilience. But once the war ended, Woolton pie was abandoned overnight. As prosperity returned, nobody wanted to remember the food of hardship. By the 1950s, it was all but erased from menus and memory. Thankfully, history has a way of circling back. Wartime cookbooks and nostalgic documentaries have resurrected Woolton pie as a fascinating taste of the past. Some modern chefs even reinterpret it with herbs, cheese, or cream sauces, proof that even austerity cuisine can find new life. No dish better captures the idea of lost and found in British food history than Woolton pie, a meal born from necessity and reborn through memory. From peas and puddings to pies and pottages, 10 British dishes. We Almost Lost shows that food is memory made edible. These recipes aren't just meals, they're time machines. Thanks to passionate cooks and curious historians, Britain's forgotten flavours continue to rise from the past, one steaming pudding at a time. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe